All right, Mice, the combine is in full swing, and that means there's a lot of storylines percolating around about what teams could potentially make moves in the draft. And the Chicago Bears, obviously with the number one overall pick, young, talented team, but with some holes to address, have been in the news involved in the draft and the combine process. But there is news coming out of the combine that's a great sign for the Bears going forward and shows that no matter what happens with their number one pick and the trades they may or may not make, they made some other key moves and that they're 100% headed in the right direction.
Yeah, Nick. And today I'm going to ask a very tough question. The Bears, an old historic franchise, and they've had so many legendary players. You think of Walter Payton's, the Dick Butkuses, the Mike Ditkas. There's so many great guys out there. It's kind of hard to pick. But today we're going to ask you to pick who is your quintessential Bear? Who is the guy that when they put on that orange and blue, that reminds you of a true Chicago Bear? Let us know in the comment section below. I know it's going to be tough, but give us just one guy who you think is the quintessential Bear. But Nick, what's the news around the Bears?
Yeah, so obviously the Bears going into this draft process, they have the number one overall pick, and everyone's got their different simulations of what they could trade to get more draft picks, more draft capital, what moves they can make in free agency. And whatever you do when it comes to building your team, it all is kind of a moot point unless you get quarterback right. And there have been some rumors about, hey, will the Bears potentially move off Justin Fields? Most of them have been proven false at this point. The Bears seem to be fully indicative of their support of Fields. But the reality is, how good can Justin Fields actually be? And one of the people that know best are the people that are the players, the athletes who are in that room around him or watch him play and understand an athlete of his caliber, right? No one knows ball like ballers. It's just the reality of the situation. And pretty much every wide receiver prospect of any quality at the combine came out and just said wonderful, amazing things about Fields and how they'd be so excited to play with him, talking about his talent level. And this is from Bears Wire, part of USA Today. And this, I'm just going to go through all the different prospects, Miles, and what they said about Justin Fields. So I'm going to start with Tank Dell out of Houston. When asked about playing with Fields in Chicago, he said, quote, "I would love that. Justin Fields is a great quarterback, so that would be a good spot." You move on to Kayshon Boutte, LSU, great player as well from the SEC, talking about Fields, quote, "Great quarterback, talented all the way around." How about Rashee Rice out of Southern Methodist? When asked about Fields, he immediately cracked a smile about the potential play with Fields. He couldn't help himself, so excited about it. How about Jalen Hyatt, a guy who's been mocked to the Bears in a couple drafts, was asked about it. He said, quote, "I would love to play with Justin Fields. Dynamic player, takes over games, and I would just try to help him with that too." And then keep going down the list. Zay Flowers said great things. To be able to play with someone like that, dynamic, would just help my game. Again, one thing you notice a theme here is that all these guys say good things about Fields because he feels playing with Fields will help them better, right? They're not just pumping Fields up, just throwing fluff out there to say, "Oh, we think Fields is good." They want to play with Fields because he thinks Fields could elevate these other players, and that's a big thing of getting wide receivers to come in into your roster and fitting very well. Quint Johnson on TCU said, quote, "I see myself fitting there very well," talking about the Bears. And then even Jordan Anderson came out from Southern Cal, came out and said probably the best wide receiver prospect, came out and said, quote, I'll show them, talking about the Bears, that I'm the playmaker they need," unquote, saying he's really excited to play with Justin Fields as well. All right, Maya. So there's actually other prospects down the list. I removed some of them. Some of them play with Fields in Ohio State, so I kind of threw those out a little bit because that's kind of a little biased there. But I think the fact that all of these prospects come out and say they want to play with Justin Fields, they couldn't, if they had the opportunity, they couldn't wait to play with Fields. They see Fields as elevating their own game. And like I said before, no one knows ball like the players who actually play ball, because it's those guys who understand. They watch the games, they're in there watching film, learning from each other, who understand how good players are. The pundits and the media, all these sycophants on TV and things like that, they have an idea, but they're really not in the room. They really haven't been in the arena, as they say. And the fact that Fields has gotten some massive support of these other top prospects coming out of the draft is a great sign that the Bears once again got the quarterback position right, because no matter what they do in the draft, that's what really matters. All right, Miles, but give me your thoughts on all this. I know I threw a lot at you. What are you thinking of everything with the Bears draft, these prospects, and Justin Fields?
Well, and you say you threw out the Ohio State receivers who played with Field. I mean, that only 10, 12 high tier prospects were excited about Fields. He can't be that great, right?
Yeah.
No.
I
But
mean,
you said like every big name I think of. I really like a guy in Zay Flowers. Addison obviously looks like one of the best prospects out there. Jalen Hyatt, a real dynamic playmaker. Johnston. These aren't like go up and get them type of 50-50 ball guys. A lot of these guys are kind of like big time playmakers, ball in their hands. So they got to be excited about Fields' style of play. And like you said, they know best who they want to play with. And they see something in the way that Fields plays the game that they feel like would elevate their game. Because they're not going to say that they want to come play for the Bears and with Justin Fields just to be, because they know they're not the guy getting picked with the number one overall pick. The Bears are probably trading back there, and if they're at number one, They're not picking a receiver. So they think that they're trying to entice the Bears, in my opinion, like, hey, if you do move back, I want to come play for you, kind of come try to get me. And as you said, there's like 10, 12 different guys who all said that they want to play with Justin Fields. You have a ton of shots at wide receiver in this draft. It seems like a really stacked draft for skill positions. The edge rushers look crazy. The corners, I think I saw like 4 or 5 corners run like 4.3 40s. It's been an insane combine this far, and we see all of the talent on display. There's a lot of athletic freaks in this draft. So I think if you're the Bears fans, you hear all of this good news about Justin Fields. That makes you feel good about that. But then you see the players and you see all of the options out there. I really would be excited about this draft because the Bears have potential to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, especially when you consider anytime you're adding playmakers, right? You never wonder how they're going to mesh with the quarterback to get in that mind meld, to get the rhythm and timing together. Because some quarterbacks, some receivers, they just don't work out. They just don't connect. The fact that you can look at basically every single top prospect in this draft class when it comes to the wide receiver group, and none of them seem to have any issues potentially connecting with Justin Fields, is a great sign that even if the Bears wait till say late second, early third, however they work out, whenever they go after a wide receiver, which I think at some point they will, they know they'll get a guy who wants to play with Fields and will have no problem working and connecting with Fields. So right now, if you're a Bears fan and you're hearing this, you're like, okay, whatever we do with the number 1 pick, trade back, get a defensive player, maybe an offensive tackle, whatever we do there, however we structure that, we know later in the draft, if we decide to go wide receiver, we'll get a prospect that wants to be here and it will work well with Fields, and that is a great sign for them.